Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Tanya, founder of Finlit for Teens, and thank you all for being here today. So just a few housekeeping rules before we get started. The session is being recorded, so please stay on mute, and if you have any questions, go ahead and type them in the chat, and we will make sure to address your questions at the end. So now let's get into it. So a little bit about Finlit for Teens. My main goal with it is to provide information on the basics of financial literacy with terms that are simple, bite-sized, and easy to consume. And so for today's session, our guest speaker and I wanted to talk a lot about some of the actions and thoughts that we take regarding our finances. And even though everyone around us may be doing something with their money, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's something that we should apply to our personal financial situation. And these are known as money myths. It's a really important topic because if we believe in these money myths to be true, then that's something that can stand in the way of us achieving our full potential financially. And so our speaker today, I was really inspired by all her initiatives and experience that she has on educating the youth and teens about personal finance at a very early age. And I'm really excited to have her here today to share a little bit more of her story about herself and also help to enable us to start on an early road of financial freedom and success. And so with that, I'd like to turn it over to founder of the Financial Academy, Miss Lakeisha Rolle.
Thank you, Tanya, for that wonderful introduction. And I must also say kudos to you for establishing Finlit for Teens. I was also motivated by the post on Instagram, and that's how we got to kind of start talking. So I'm pretty excited to be here this afternoon, and I am definitely honored to present this topic to you this afternoon about 3 myths about money management. So just a little bit about me. As Tanya would have said, my name is Lakeisha. I am the founder of the Financial Academy, and the Financial Academy is a financial literacy company that was established in Nassau, Bahamas in November 2019. And the whole purpose of the Financial Academy is to teach young persons how to make positive, healthy financial choices and create a pathway to a more secure financial future. Also, within the last few months, we have impacted the lives of more than 300 youth around the nation, teaching them about financial literacy and the importance of practicing great money management habits and just learning about things that they can do to help them to secure their financial future, even now at an early age. So let's go on to the first myth. And I want to start off with a little story. Why do we learn how to drive before getting a vehicle? Why is that important? Imagine if we did not learn how to drive, or if we weren't taught how to drive before we got a car. We would be in a big mess, right? So here's a few things that driving lessons actually teach you. And I just wrote down a few things that I learned while I was learning how to drive. So the first thing is you learn how to avoid personal injury. The second thing is you learn how to avoid major damage to your vehicle. The third thing is you learn how to be attentive and what exactly you're supposed to be paying attention to while you're on the road. And also you learn how to be in control of the situation as best as you can without panicking. So these top 4 things that I kind of jot down off the top of my head, it's the same can be applied to personal financial management. So learning how to manage money well is just as important as learning the road traffic laws, regulations, the procedures, all those good stuff. And learning how to adopt positive money management habits, how to be a great steward of your finances. That's necessary in order to avoid unnecessary financial hurdles. Adopt positive financial habits and learn how to live your best financial life while also preparing for a secure financial future. So today we're going to talk about 3 things that may affect your ability to think about your financial future now, even though you're really young. But these are myths, I'm telling you. So get ready to listen, get a pen and a notepad, and write down a few things that stand out to you. The first myth: focus on making money first and learn about managing it later. So one thing that I really want to let you know today is that you do not have to be making money in order to know how to manage money. Managing money actually begins in the mind and not when you receive your first paycheck. So begin to learn about some ways you are able to become financially responsible with handling money now, as opposed to waiting until later on to learn how to manage that money, because that can be very dangerous. You can start by taking an inventory of which occasions you normally receive money on and think about what it is that you may have done with that money in the past. For example, you may have received money as a birthday gift or for doing very well in school or from completing chores around the house or a little business you may help out around the neighborhood with or selling lemonade, anything. So think about the different sources of income that you actually make now and what is it that you have done with that money? What have you made poor decisions? Have you made great decisions? What is it that you have done? Also, would you say that you were financially responsible with it? Observe those around you. How are they managing their money? Are there things that you would like to adopt based on what you see them practicing? Or are there things you would like to avoid based on what you see them practicing? So all of these you thinking about how now versus other thing, discipline. Why are you doing this? What's the ultimate purpose? Financial goals help to keep you on track with what it is that you said that you want to save and for the time frame that you set out to save this particular thing. So start small. Practice by creating a small budget. As I mentioned before, what are your income sources? Make a note of your total income. It doesn't matter how much it is. Also, make a list of all of your expenses, everything that requires you to spend money or whatever it is that you had spent your money on before, and you may want to purchase those things again. So now income and you also have your it is also important to learn how to stick to your budget, how to manage that budget, and not just create that budget. Because what good is it creating something if you're not going to follow it? It's not going to have that impact on your financial future, that positive impact that you would like for it to have later on in your life. Also, the purpose of that is to keep a track of what all you should be spending money on and how much money you should be spending on each item. So when you're creating a budget, it's important to be very honest about the amount of money that you will need to purchase this item. You do not want to find yourself in a situation where you are under budgeting and at the end of the day, you are in the red. So you don't have enough money to take you forward or to move on to purchasing something else that may have really been important because you did not allocate sufficient funds toward that purchase. So be very honest with that. It is also important to learn how to stick to that and also create ways. It also helps you to know where your money are going, where your money is going, sorry. So creating your budget or having a budget, it's a guide. So allow it to be that guide. Allow it to control the way that you are spending your money. Don't let your money grab a hold of you and you find yourself in a jam and very tight place where you're unable to move on because you weren't strict enough or following the guidelines that you actually set out to follow for yourself. And that's a very positive habit and that takes a lot of discipline. You will find that if you wait until you start making money to learn how to manage it, you will fall into a few financial hurdles, you'll make a few financial missteps, and these could have potentially been avoided if you had learned about how to adopt positive habits earlier on. So learning these habits now is all about creating a culture of financial responsibility for yourself. And not only that, also for those around you. Because when people see the attitude that you are taking toward money management so early, they're going to want to follow the same footsteps as you. It's almost the same as, for example, if you have a lot of negative money habits and persons are saying, okay, I don't want to do that with my money because I see which path that led them down. So you don't want that to happen to you. So create a culture of practicing positive or healthy financial choices at an early age. Another thing is You do not have to learn as you go along or figure it out on your own. So you deserve to learn about how to be responsible today. You do not have to wait until tomorrow to learn how to be responsible with something that you may have never even seen before. When you get a large sum of money, you may be tempted to spend it on a lot of different things that you don't actually need, but that's because you didn't learn how to manage it well before you got all of that money. So practice doing the small things now, and I promise you, your future financial self will definitely thank you. Money is a very powerful resource, and one poor decision can quickly and easily destroy your financial future. So that is the first key point for the first myth. Right, money is a very powerful resource, and one poor decision can quickly and easily destroy your financial future. So this is why it is important to focus on managing money first and not learning how to manage it later. I'll now go on to the second myth of, about money management. Money management is for persons that make a certain amount of income. Sometimes we call these people the rich folks. So that is definitely a myth, and let me tell you why. When it comes to managing money, it requires discipline, as I mentioned before, but it also requires skill. There's a science to managing money, but it's not difficult. You just have to learn what the rules are, follow the rules, and be on the pathway to a secure financial future. Money management is for everyone. There's not a certain category of persons who money management specifically relates to. So we should all want to learn about and practice how to manage our money well. Why not? Why would we want to struggle in the future? Why would we want to figure it out ourselves? Why would we want to wait until we are unable to borrow, unable to home? You can't decide to wait or until you're making a certain amount of money to. So I think learning managing money well, right? A certain amount, a lot, an amount of later on down the road. So you have to start somewhere. Learning the tools, strategy, how to start is actually more important than the amount of money you're making. Right? Imagine if you waited before you learn how to be responsible with it. It's like the car example I spoke about earlier. Imagine if you learn how to drive the car when you drive it out of the lot. That's very dangerous because you learn the rules of the road that you should look out for. You haven't learned any of these things. So it's the same thing with money management. What if you waited too late to manage this money until you felt as if you were making enough income? You missed out on so many opportunities to create additional sources of income. You would have missed out on the opportunity to learn how to have missed out on opportunities to learn how to invest your money. You would have even missed out on potential business opportunities that you could have invested your money in outside of securities in the stock market and stuff like that. So, as I mentioned before, money management begins with being responsible with the little you have, not the much that you desire. Don't let the much take you off of focusing from what it is that you have now, and do not allow it to cause you to think that you cannot manage money now because you're only making a little bit. No, that's not true. You'll never see the much if you're not careful with the little because your focus is going to be on, I'm not making enough right now. Oh, I wish I was getting a little bit more, then I could do something significant with it. No, learn how to manage the little first, and when you get more later, it won't be difficult. It will come naturally to you, and you'll find that you're not even tempted to misspend the money or adopt negative habits just because you have this chunk of money in your hands now. Another thing is, I mentioned it a little bit, it's not about how much money you make, it's about how well you take care of what it is that you make. Learning how to be extremely careful with your money is what will determine how much money you will truly have in the future. And this goes back to financial responsibility. Examine your money, your habits. Evaluate or examine your money spending patterns. What is it that you like to purchase? Are these things that are important to you right now? What is it that you could be doing with your money right now? What is the next best decision you can possibly make that will help you with your financial future, with financial stability, with thinking about financial freedom? So think about these things before you spend any money, and I guarantee you it will determine how much money you will have in the future, because these habits or these patterns kind of it goes with you as you go into the future, and if they're negative, they can be very difficult to break because you've been so used to practicing them all along. Another thing, it is very easy to get caught up with making poor financial decisions, especially when making a lot of money. You tend to think that you will always feel like you have money or you will always be in a good position or as if you're straight, you're good, you don't have anything to worry about. But the truth is, your bank account will be depleted quicker than you put anything in it if you get off track and if you get caught up with making poor financial decisions or if you think that you always have it, because you won't always have money if you're not always responsible with it. So that's an important thing to remember. Earlier, we spoke about learning how to create a small budget. Opening a bank account, a savings account, is another great way to begin learning how to manage money despite your income level. Or if you do not have a bank account as yet, you may have jars or boxes at home. So if you can turn it into your savings jar or savings box or something like that, and just become disciplined with placing money in there that you have not spent during the week. If you have money left over from your lunch or from chores that you did or something like that, you don't necessarily have to spend everything that you receive. So practice learning how to put some up and put it in a safe place. Even though a bank account tends to be a place where your money isn't easily accessible. And when I say that, I mean it's not as accessible as if you have it home in a jar or in a box, so you can see it every day. But it still helps you to develop that attitude of discipline and learning that, hey, I'm going to put something aside because I do not need to spend it just because I have it. Also, a bank account helps to keep your money safe, and if you become disciplined enough, it can also be a way of keeping money from yourself. So even though you have an ATM card and you can just go to the bank at any time and withdraw that money, because you are keeping the end goal in mind, it's not going to be as tempting for you because are you're focused on what this financial goal is that you've set. You're focused on putting something aside, even though you are not making as much money as you want to make as yet. And you are focused on thinking about a secure financial future. Saving a little is better than saving nothing at all. You never know when you'll need it. We all have emergencies and or unexpected events that arise. And the little that you think you have now can actually go a really long way when you have a rainy day and you run into tough times. A perfect example is during this pandemic. Nobody anticipated this, and we sure did not anticipate for this to go on for this long. What happened to persons who did not have an emergency fund? What happened to persons who did not have any savings placed aside and now they are on a reduced income or no income at all? So think about what if something extreme was to happen, and always set a goal to have a certain amount of money in your emergency fund, even if it's only $20. $20 can help you to start the process of what it is that you need to cover, as opposed to having $0 and having to borrow $20. And borrowing $20 can be tough, especially during this time. It may seem like a little bit of money, but if all of your family and friends are going through a difficult period right now, then $20 could be extremely hard to get from somebody. So always think about having an emergency fund and how much money you would want to keep in that fund at all times. And only use it in the event of an emergency. That is also an important practice and also very important to remember. We can now go on to the third myth about money management. So the third myth I want to speak about is that money management is only for adults. So I'm pretty sure based on the first two myths and the scenarios that you have heard already, you can see that money management is for everyone. It's everyone's responsibility. Money management is for anyone who currently earns money or one day desires to earn money. And I'm pretty sure that sums up everyone in here. So that means money management is for you. It's one aspect of the bigger picture, but money management is where personal financial management begins. Learning about the basic skills that can help you create a more secure financial future for not only yourself, but for one day your family and also your friends, your circle, anyone you come into contact with, you can help them to have a secure financial future just by the positive habits that you're practicing. How you manage money today has a greater effect on your financial future than you'll probably realize right now. And this can make a difference between financial freedom and financial hardship. So going back to those positive and negative money management habits or those spending patterns, financial freedom, when you focus on financial freedom, you're focusing on things that help you in the future. You're focused on purchases that are necessary. You're focusing on reducing and eliminating debt. You're also focused on financial security. Financial hardship, you're not really focused on anything besides the present right now. And you feel as if the future can wait. Or somebody got you. Somebody could always help you in case you fall. But and that's a very difficult position to be in. And that's also something you can reduce the amount of financial hardship that you may go through, or you can even eliminate it. And this all has to do with your spending patterns right now. What is it that you are developing a habit of doing? What is it that you find yourself doing consistently? What are other people doing around you? And you even get to learn. You don't have to learn from your own mistakes. You can learn from the mistakes of others. You can see how irresponsible persons have been with their money, and you can determine that this is not going to be my future, and I'm going to make a difference. So it's up to you to make that financial shift in your mind and determine what it is, how it is that you want your financial future to look. You may not have it all planned out from A to Z right now, but at least if you have just an idea of how you want it to look and you start to take those steps toward that financial future, it's going to look very bright because you've already started that process early. And always keep that in the back of your mind. Just want to share a little bit of statistics with you. In a survey conducted by the National Endowment for Financial Education, only 27% of millennials actually demonstrated basic financial literacy. And these are some very alarming statistics because it shows that money management skills and adopting positive habits is something that needs to be addressed on a greater scale. So I do not want you to find yourself in that percentage of persons who is unaware of what financial literacy is, who's unaware of why financial literacy is important, and who have absolutely no idea or no interest in practicing positive money management habits. And it is definitely my intention to help to increase the rate of persons who are aware of basic financial literacy concepts and how practical ways that they can adopt these habits. Also, we, well, the future generation, all of us, we deserve a secure financial future. We all deserve to learn about steps we should be taking now to live comfortably and even retire earlier than society says we should. So this is something that's very exciting to me because if you manage your money well, and as time goes along and you make more money as you get older and you switch jobs and all like this stuff, and you have additional sources of income, you may be able to invest in opportunities that is able to pay you while you are not necessarily working like physical jobs. So what that says to me is you get to retire early, you get to relax. You don't have to worry about a 9 to 5. You can have a business running while you sleep. So these are things that we should be concerned about right now in order to secure financial future and financial stability. So that's why this is so important. Do not mind the word retire. Retire is something that society says we should do when we reach 60 or 65 or 70. But it's up to us to change that. It's our decision to make. And it can definitely be a financial goal that you can set for yourself. That's not something that's impossible. So you're definitely retiring early is definitely something that you can do if you plan out your financial future, if you manage your money well and you make some pretty good investments that will help you be able to not get up and have to work a 9 to 5 while you have a side business going on. That can definitely help you in the future. As teens, money management also begins with making good financial choices and thinking about how your choices will affect you in the future, no matter how small or insignificant the choice may seem. And also, the more you make financial choices or any choice in life, the longer you do that, you create a habit out of it. So whether that is something positive or something negative, be careful about what it is you're taking into your future. And this is not just with your finances, that's with everything in life. So make sure you think about the decisions that you make before you make them. Think about how will this impact me later today? How will this impact me tomorrow? How will this impact me 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the line? Also, start out by determining and distinguishing your needs and your wants. I mentioned a little bit about that earlier. So, your needs are those things that you cannot do without, and your wants are things that you can do without right now, and they can wait to be purchased at a later date. So, before you make a purchase, think about what exactly is this that you're making. What is it that you're purchasing? And what is it that you can do with your money to help you? Is this purchase helping you or is this hurting you? Is this going to lead me on the path to financial freedom or financial hardship? So you want to constantly think about these things with every decision that you make with your money, especially because money may come to you easily, but it can also fall out of your hands just as quickly as you get it. And it may be very difficult to get that back a second time around. So that's why it's important to learn how to be responsible with what it is that you have now. Because number one, you don't know how long you're going to have it. Number two, you don't know how long you're going to live. And number three, nobody knows how the future looks. So you want to make sure that you are creating a smooth pathway or a smooth journey for yourself and that you're able to feel financially confident. The older you get, you don't want to feel financially burdened. You don't want to have financial anxiety. You don't want to feel financially concerned about you or your family. You don't want to feel that way and you don't have to. So that's why I love teaching about financial literacy. And it's easy for me because I practice what I preach every single day. So I'm able to share stories about how financial literacy has impacted me and how those positive money management habits that I've practiced along the years, how they are actually helping me to have a more secure financial future. So just a little bit I want to share, even just before, yeah. So oh, as I was saying, each month when I get paid, even though my expenses don't change much month to month, I still create a budget. I still write down the amount of money that I have to spend towards each of my items. I do not leave anything out, even if it's a minor expense. I still put it on the list because I have to know within myself where my money is going. I do not want to find myself asking, Lakeisha, where did you spend that money? You had $50, but I don't know where it went. So it's also important to keep great financial records. Being financially responsible is all about knowing what you have, knowing where you have it, and knowing what you want to do with it in the future. So I know what I have in my savings account. I know what I have in my emergency fund. I know what I have in my investment account. I know where I have it. I know which financial institutions I have my money in. And I know what I want to do with it for the future because I have set financial goals for for a few, I've set a few financial goals. So each thing has a purpose. Each savings account or investment account has a particular purpose. So I always keep that in mind, and it actually motivates me. It keeps me going. It keeps me mindful of what my goal is. It keeps me accountable of the financial decisions that I'm making every single day, even leading up to when I get my next paycheck. So it's important that you not only have financial goals in place, but you're always working toward achieving those goals. If you find that it's very difficult for you to be accountable to these things, I would like to encourage you to get a something called an accountability partner or a budget buddy, someone who's going to help you stay on track, someone who's going to tell you, no, you do not need to purchase this. Someone who's going to remind you that you have a goal that you're working toward. Someone who's going to remind you about so I have a few persons who I call accountability partners, and we bounce financial goals and ideas off of each other from time to time. And it can be really fun. Managing money or being responsible with money doesn't have to be boring. You don't have to sit down in front of a financial advisor or financial counselor 15, 20 years down the road for them to tell you how to manage your money. I'm telling you it right now, and that's why it's important because you get to help other persons to be the same way. You do not have to spend unnecessary money on persons telling you how to get out of debt. Learn how to get out of debt before it's too late. You can avoid those financial hurdles. Financial or debt does not have to be a narrative in your story. It doesn't. It really doesn't have to be. But if you choose that debt is going to be a part of your story, then you have to learn how to manage debt well. You have to know how to do these things. But what comes way before that is learning how to be financially responsible with what it is that you have now. So you do not have to incur debt or you don't have to incur as much debt as other people have to date. And you can see the problems that they're facing now. So that doesn't have to be a main character in your story. So you can write your own story, create your own lane, stay in it, stay focused on your goals, and just work toward achieving them. And never give up. Never give up. It doesn't matter how much money that you're making, or if you're at a point where you cannot see that your financial future makes any sense, because you may get to that point as an adult, you may just want to give up and feel as if I'm just going to do whatever I'm doing with my money because I'm not making a lot anyway, so what's the point? But we cannot have a mindset of that. We have to keep a positive mindset about our finances, about our future, about financial freedom, about our financial journey. So all of these things we have to keep in mind and always keep a positive mindset. So just a few points as I wrap up. The first thing is don't be afraid to think about your financial future during the present. Your future is not far away. It's definitely not as far away as you think it is. The second thing is by learning how to become more financially responsible now will help you to journey into a financially confident future. The third thing is you deserve not to have to worry about money and be a financially concerned adult suffering from financial anxiety as a result of poor financial decisions and poor habits. So that just about wraps up my presentation for today. So I will turn it back over to Tanya if we have any questions.
Yeah, thank you so much, Miss Lakeisha. That was an awesome presentation. I really love all the emphasis that you put on, just the basics of money management and how it's important no matter what stage you're in or no matter, how much you're making or anything. It's just important to master down the basics, which I love. So yeah, we'll open it up to some questions now. And but before we get to that, there's also a link to a survey in the chat. So if you guys could just take a quick survey, I'd really appreciate that. But I had some questions submitted to me. So the first one is, how would you go about budgeting and money management with the fear of impulse spending and peer pressure?
Okay, so impulse spending, I actually have some statistics about that as well. So a survey that was conducted in 2019 in the United States among 2,000 persons. So the survey results said that Persons spend up to $5,400 per year on impulse spending, and persons can spend up to $324,000 throughout their lifetime just on impulse spending alone. So just with those numbers right there, you get to see just how powerful um, of an impact impulse spending can be, especially on your future. So before you are tempted by all of these pretty marketing things, all of the flyers, the emails, the buy one, get one free, buy one, get one half off, you don't want to miss this, the price is going up soon. Don't be distracted about by these more important than, if I can put it that way, peer pressure and earlier about creating your own goals, staying focused. This is where the ability to not be affected by peer pressure comes in, because you have already set out a goal that you want to achieve, and because this is something personal to you cannot allow someone else to now come in who does not even share the same financial values or financial goals as you to allow you to get off track. So always think about your goals. Also watch the persons who you're surrounded by. Are they helping you with your with adopting positive habits in life, and that includes your finances, or are they not? So you may want to evaluate those persons who are around you and start to get connected with persons who share the same goals and values and want to become financially responsible.
Right. Yeah, those are really good points. We just also had a follow-up question to that one. What do you recommend as a percent of money to put towards splurging?
Okay, so first I will answer it by just starting off with the something called the budgeting rule. So there's a budgeting rule. It's called the 50-30-20 budgeting rule. So 50% goes towards your needs, and that is food, clothing, shelter. You may have so that may be rent or mortgage payments, car payments, insurance needs. 30% goes towards wants. So this is entertainment, things where you treat yourself, maybe saving towards vacation, some type of anything entertainment related. And then you have 20%, which goes toward your savings. So in that 30%, you can decide what it is that you want to splurge on. If you are, let's say you're celebrating an achievement of something, and this is your treat. So keep in mind, you do not want your 30%. You do not want your needs and your wants to be reversed. So you do not want to find yourself spending 50% on your wants and 30% on your needs and you can't take care of your needs at the end of the day. So in terms of splurging, it's definitely not discouraged to treat yourself, because we need that every once in a while. We need a breather, we need a vacation, we need these things. But always keep in mind that your needs come before your wants, and also always make sure that you allocate an amount for saving before you decide to splurge, because you do not want to spend so much money or get caught up with entertaining yourself or enjoying yourself, or like people like to say, living your best life, without considering the important factors, which are taking care of your basic needs and also ensuring that you have allocated an amount towards saving.
Yeah, I love that discipline, to add all that, rigor from an early start. But unfortunately, that's all the time we have left for questions today. But I want to thank Miss Lakeisha so much for being here today and taking the time to talk to us. We all really appreciate it. And thank you everyone for coming here today. And if you guys could do me a favor and check out Miss Lakeisha's Facebook and Instagram page. She's got great content on all things finance, and I'm sure you guys are going to love it. So thank you so much for coming here today, guys. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Thank you again. Thank you, Tanya.
Thank
It's been
you.
a pleasure. You're welcome.